Now I'm going to talk about programming. As I mentioned, programming is really helpful for simulation. I will say that, this little word optional. This is a stats class. It's not a programming class. So am I going to be testing you on a depth of programming knowledge? No, I won't. But I will say for those who are interested, it's good, and it's going to be really helpful for simulations, and just knowing how to program the calculator can just be really helpful with repetitive calculations. So what we'll do is go over some programming basics like input and output, storing variables, loops, if then else. Pretty much I'm focused on the program that I used in the previous video about the rumor that Jack started in the dormitories. So let's start by looking at the beginning of the program. I guess I should actually show you where that is in the calculator, right? So we have a programming button right here. We can get into the menu from there. So program. Now we have execute, edit, and new. I've already actually put in the rumor program. If we want to run it, I could just go enter for executing it. Here it is on my home screen. It's not running yet. It's just the command to run it. So I can hit enter again, and that's actually going to run it. All right, and on the island or in the dorm, there were 25 in the dorm. And it is doing all that we did in that table. And in this case, took 11 days and 4 never heard. So at the end, I showed you the results of me running it. Well, this is the result of one run. So now, what does the program actually look like? Well, if we go to edit, we can actually see what the program looks like. If we wanted a new program, then we would, of course, go to new. But let's go back and see what the beginning of the program looks like. All right, so there are a bunch of commands which are useful, like clear home. That's just going to clear the screen, which is always a good way to start a program, is with a clear screen. Display, input, and clear home. So if we trace through this, and where do you get this? Notice that we're in the program itself, and what we're in is what's called the program editor. When we're inside the program editor, these buttons that we pressed before give us different menus, which is kind of cool. If we press this button now, it's not going to give us execute, edit, and new. It's going to give us control, input, output, and execute. So here's where all the commands kind of live, right? And input, output, I believe, is where clear home is. Right, there it is. Right, and you can just hit enter, and it'll put clear home onto your screen. Maybe it'd be useful. Let's maybe quit out of this, and we can just start a new program. And you can see how the beginning works. So I'll type in some name. I like the name junk. This is something that I use when I'm just kind of practicing or trying to figure something out. It's a junk program. I know I can delete it later without too much problem. Hit enter. And here, it's a blank program page. So I can go over to clear home, which is number 8. And there's the clear home. I could actually quit out of this. And if I were to run this program, which is to execute junk, right here, it's not been run yet, what should happen? All that's in there is clear home. It cleared it and then put a done after it ran. So if we go back to editing junk, we can go to the next line and say we want to display something. Then that's input, output, And we have 3, which is display. And you can display a graph, you can display a table. There's all kinds of fun things you can display. And if we want something on the home screen, what we need is quotation marks. Anything in quotation marks will actually get displayed to the home screen. So if I go second alpha, it's alpha lock. Notice that the A is on there. That means it's alpha lock. And I can go find the quotation mark, which looks like it's on the plus sign. And then I could type in whatever I want to type in, like hi world. And I could hit enter. And if we were to quit and run that, running junk, and we run it, it's going to clear it, say hi world, and done. Notice that the DISP, the quotation marks aren't there, but everything between the quotation marks is. Now, we need to get a value into the calculator. So what we're going to want is go to program and input output. The first one is input. And this is going to ask for some input, and we need a variable. So we're going to maybe go A. Input A. And again, if we quit and run junk, it's going to say hi world, and this quotation mark, it's asking for a number, and what it's done is it's stored number in variable A. If we go alpha A and just hit enter, oh look, 8. 8's been put into variable A. And so that means we can now do stuff with A. That's the input. We could then maybe display 2 times A. Or I guess that was minus. 2 times A. Right. If we run that, if we run program junk, it's going to ask for a number, 5, and it's going to display 10, 2 times A. Notice that this display has quotation marks, and in between the quotation marks gets displayed on the screen. No quotation marks here. This is a variable. This gets evaluated 2 times A. It was 10 in the last time, and the result of the evaluation gets put on the screen. So what could we do next? We need to talk about loops. That's kind of important. There's a couple ways of looping. The way that I use in the Rumor program is this for. Now the way this works, and I'm going to put the syntax over here, for variable start stop. So I'm going to say maybe variable x is going to go from 1 to 4. And I'm going to put a space. Here's the program. Here's number 7 is end. This for and this end, they're kind of a block. Because it's a loop, a certain number of code is going to just be repeated and repeated and repeated. So this is the beginning and this is the end, so that the calculator knows when to go back up for the loop. So you really need that end. And you can have as many lines inside as you want. You can insert. And you can do, let's do this. Let's display, just display X. All right, so what's our program going to do? I should probably get rid of those lines. It's going to clear the home screen. It's going to display Hi World. It's going to ask for a number. It's going to multiply that number by 2 and display it. Then it's going to set X equal to our starting value of 1. It's going to go through the loop code. So X equals 1, it should display 1. It's going to hit the end. It's going to go back up. It's going to automatically increment X to be 2. X is going to now be 2. It should display 2. It's going to loop around. X is going to become 3. It'll display it. It'll loop around. X will become 4. It'll display it. It'll loop around. X will actually become 5. It'll recognize it's beyond the stop part, and it'll actually just skip down. And so we should just see 1, 2, 3, 4 when we run this. Let's see. So here we're going to run the program. All right, we're going to enter, I'll enter 7, so it should display 14, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. 14, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? That's how the loop works. The only thing left that you really need to understand, I think, the program that I wrote for the roomer is, let's clear this line, the if-then-else. It's conditional. So we have program. You can see number 1 is if. So I'm going to say if X, and I'm going to go second. Math is, it says test. These are all the tests. If X equals, I'll use number 1, 2. I need some, insert some lines. Then I want it to display X. Display X. And now here's another tricky part. I'm going to need another end statement. So this end is for the if. This end is for the for. Right? This is the loop end, and this is for the conditional end for the if-then statement. So what's going to happen now? Right? X is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. If X is equal to 2, then it'll be displayed. So when X equals 1, this is false. It's going to skip over this, and nothing will get displayed. When X equals 2, it's true. That'll be displayed. When X equals 3, it doesn't test true, so it's false. It'll skip. All right, let's see what happens. Run the program. We're going to do 26. So it didn't display 1, 2, 3, 4 anymore because of that if-then statement. Well, that can be really helpful for making decisions in a program. So now, the last little piece is you can modify this if-then-else, or if-then with an else. So I need to insert a line or 2. So if X equals 2, then display X. Else means when X isn't equal to. It gives you an option of when it is equal to 2 and what to do when it's not equal to 2. Maybe we'll display something. Maybe we'll display A because we haven't used that. Right. And it's still just one end for the if, and that end for the for. So what's going to happen when x is 1? It won't be true here, so it should display A. When x equals 2, it's going to display 2. When x equals 3, it's going to display A. Let's see what happens. So hi world, I'm going to enter 6. It'll be, there we go, I entered 6. Twice 6 is that. Remember that if then else. When x was 1, it displayed A, which is 6. When x was 2, it displayed x. When x was 3, it displayed A. And when x was 4, it displayed A. So that's the if then else. So given that, maybe what I'll do is I'll just put up on the board the program that I wrote for the rumor simulation. And we can quickly go through it and then probably just wrap it up. So here's the program. And I've written it out kind of indented to make it a little bit easier to read with some spaces, which is a little different than it appears on the screen in the calculator. And you can see the indentations, right? We have this end is for that if, then else, right? There's an if then. Here this, maybe we'll do a different color. That might be cool. This if ends there. We have, so all of this is nested inside this if statement. And here is, in a different color, here's the for, which goes to that end. So there's that loop. So this is going to be repeated and repeated from 1 to n. Right? N is the number that we input up here. What other things? This label, it's actually another loop structure over here. This go to and that label, right, as soon as the calculator hits go to 10, it'll jump back to here and kind of start over from that point. Notice that the go to is in an if then statement. So it'll only restart under certain conditions, but not under other conditions. This output is another way, it's like display, only you can control where on the screen it outputs. It's this row column. It'll display that. I was able, or I put stow, which is the button name. It would have been nice to have been able to write L1 arrow L2 because that's how it actually appears on the calculator. But you know, it's this, you know, storage button. Things like this, that's like 1 store into L2 in the R position of L2. R is a variable which gets set around here, right? A random number stored in R. So that's a position in the list L2. What else? I think that's really about it. You can kind of trace that. You can try and put it into your calculator, see if it works, and then you can run it.